Well, Raymond, thank you for coming and visiting us here at Overdevest. It's quite a windy morning, but at least the sun's shining.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic morning, David, and what an outstanding job you've done with these clematis.
Well, I know you grow some lovely of your varieties in containers.
Yes.
in Europe. But we can grow some pretty decent ones
Yeah,
here too.
well, I'm really glad that you don't live in England, otherwise you'd be competing with me at the Chelsea Flower Show, I think, David. So these clematis were bred and developed to grow in smaller gardens, people who perhaps don't have a large garden where they can grow them in pots and containers, and you know, this is absolutely ideal and absolutely what we had in mind when we started to create these new clematis, because they flower from the base upwards. So much flower and so much colour over a very long season, so you know, you're doing an amazingly fantastic job here, David.
Good. Now, the thing that I think you'll agree with me that's important is that you have a good big size container.
Absolutely vital, and I would say to anyone starting that the minimum depth of a container needs to be 18 inches and 18 inches diameter, but if you can go to 24 inches by 24 inches or even a little bit larger, that's even better, because clematis like obviously plenty of food in the soil, in the compost, and it's also great to plant other plant material, because clematis like to have a shady root system. So very important that people use a thick wall container, not a plastic pot. If they want to use a plastic pot, then they've really got to drop it actually into a ceramic container or half a barrel or something like that, because people must remember that clematis like a shady root system and they like to grow in a microclimate with other plant material. So if other plants, these clematis are super, but if other plants are planted here at the base, and some are bedding type plants, and you can use that, and you can use different colors each year, so you change your planting scheme, then it works perfectly. And depending on the variety, Rosemoor that we've just looked at, or this one, Rebecca, well, they grow to about 6 feet in height, so you must select the support that you need for the height of the clematis, so that just needs to be checked out.
Okay. Now, what about feeding and maintenance during the year when you've got them in the containers?
Well, I think, David, the most importantly obviously is water. Keep them well watered, which is logic, and the feeding also is important. So what I recommend is people can use rose feed or tomato feed, but certainly use it at half strength at regular intervals. So I'm saying sort of once a week or so, to keep the feed levels up, because as the flowers start to fade, and I think really quite important really to take some of the very old flowers off when they're faded and looking a little bit tired. Take them off, and that will help the plant rejuvenate, and then you can get lovely buds coming like this again, so the plant is flowering, rejuvenating and continuing to flower. And so you want the feed in the compost so that those buds grow, and when the plant is finished flowering, then it will start to put on new growth for the next crop of flowers as well.
So little and often.
Absolutely.
Little and often.
Yep.